Welcome back, gang. So now that we have notifications pretty much done, what I want to do is set it up so that, let's say our new friends, Gennaro Stark and Vulgar, let's say Gennaro Stark decides to post on Vulgar's profile page, or whatever the notification is, Vulgar would get an instant notification, meaning this red badge that we have up here would pop up as soon as they get it, instead of us having to refresh the page every time. Okay, so to get started on that, we are going to go ahead and check out the Laravel documentation. Because we have event listeners set up, we can add queues to this, and then we will take it from there. So the first thing we'll do is head to the driver notes and prerequisites. Okay, we need to create a table for the jobs from the queues. Okay, so we're going to copy this. We're going to head into the text editor. We're going to go to a fresh terminal, and we're going to paste that in here. Okay, so PHP artisan queue table. Okay, and what that's going to do is create a new table in our database, in our migration files. Okay, so let's go ahead, open it up, and take a look at it. Okay, so as you can see here, it just has the unsigned tiny integer, the attempts, anything possible that could happen with the jobs, it would be in here. Any of our messages, anything would be available in here. Okay, so we can close that now because we don't really need to change anything in there. Close that. Close all of these. So now that that's done, we can head back over to the documentation, and the next step is to migrate the new table. Okay, so we'll paste that in, enter, and now that that's done, let's go and check our database. So we'll refresh. And there's our new table, jobs. We'll open that up. And now we can see that we have a brand new empty table. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is head back to the text editor, and we need to make some changes in our .env file. And the way it stands now is that our queue connection is on sync. Now we can go ahead and change that to database. Okay, and then we're actually getting that from config. We'll go down to queue.php, and then this is the queue connection. So you have a couple of different options, but this is what the key is in the .env folder, in the .env file that we have, which is its default to sync, but we can go ahead and just change it to database because that's just the connection that we'll use. Okay, so we can close up the queue, and now we'll leave this open because we want to make some changes to it in a bit. Now to test this out, let's go to, we can close this, we will go to our notification. We'll start with the someone posted, okay? And then we'll go all the way up to the top. And you see the notification's already importing the should queue, and that's what we need to add here. So we'll add implements should queue. Okay? And then we'll come down here, and the command that we need to run now is php artisan queue work, and this will get this will run our should queues, our listeners and events in the background, so we can just leave it there for now. Okay, let's go back to the browser, and we are going to send a message. We're going to refresh, Okay, and then we'll go to our friend's profile page. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and send a message. So we'll just say, hey buddy. We'll click post. Okay, so it was sent. It's here. Let's check our mail trap. And it's here. So it still works. Okay, so now let's look at our queue, the worker, and now we see it was processed and it was sent. Someone posted and the notification was processed correctly. Okay, now one thing I want to show you, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this worker. Okay, it's gonna be Control-C, and if you type in PHP artisan, enter, these codes that I'm doing, like queue work, they're all listed in here. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're not sure what these commands are, if you go in here, you'll see where they are. See, so what we did before was you know, our make migration, make notification, our key generate, that's for the application key. Another one we've used was we just use the queue work and it's start processing jobs on the queue as a daemon, and just other ones that we've used. This is where you would go to find those commands. Okay, so I'm going to drop that down, and now we can go ahead and start setting up our pusher. So we can close that. We don't need it anymore, or actually we do, but not right this second. So we'll come back to our browser, we'll head over to the documentation, and under broadcasting has everything we need. So let's go to server-side installation, okay, and start the setup. So the first thing we need to do is pull in this pusher require from Composer. Okay, so we'll go back to our text editor. We'll go ahead, paste that in, click enter, and we'll let that install. Okay, the next thing we need to do is set up our pusher keys. So if you go to pusher, okay, it's a free account, of course, and I think it's something like 20,000 requests daily or monthly or something like that. I don't know. It's a really reasonable plan for developers, and it's free, at least to test. It works pretty well. So you can actually go into manage. Once you create an account, go into manage. We will create an app. Okay, and name your app. We're just going to call this one the same as our app, so social network demo. Okay, and this cluster is just basically your location. This is fine. We can just use this one. It doesn't really matter. But if you want to set it, you can set it up to whatever your location is. Create apps for multiple environments. We don't need to do that for this. And technically we don't need to do this either because it'll pick it up. But if you wanted to, you can put the front end is Vue.js and the back end is Laravel. Okay, so we won't do that, but you can. So we'll create an app, and then we need to come into the app keys section and set up our keys. Okay, so just copy this for now. Copy. These are my credentials, and I'm gonna change these after we're finished filming this stuff, but you would create your own, you would end up with your own keys and secret and everything and just go ahead and use it. I'm just going to reset mine after we're done, but that's something that you don't really want to get out either. Okay, so we're going to come down to these pusher app ID section. We're going to paste that for reference. Okay, and then we're going to just copy in our credentials. So copy, paste, copy, paste, secret, copy, paste, and then copy, paste. Okay, now you can go ahead and get rid of this, and now that's done. Let's just make sure that that's it restarted the server. Okay, so now what's happening here is we're putting in our credentials to our environment files, and then this mix pusher app key is pulling in those credentials and then sending them to our front end, which we're using, since we're doing Inertia, we're using Vue.js. So what you want to do is you want to go to your resources, JS, bootstrap.js, and now this section here down below, we can go ahead and uncomment. Okay, and what this is doing is bringing in our credentials and setting up echo and broadcast for us. Okay, and then let's see, this should be done. Okay, so now let's go back to the documentation and finish setting up our broadcaster. Okay, so we've already done the credentials, and we'll keep going. We need to change our broadcast driver now to pusher, and that's in our .env file. Okay, we'll go up. Broadcast driver is now pusher. Okay, and then let's see what's next. Go back to the documentation, and now we're ready to install and configure Laravel Echo. Okay, so we'll click that, and now we need to run this command right here. So copy, paste, and let that run. So now that that's done, I wanted to show you where we get this broadcast driver from. So if you go back up to the config and head down to broadcasting.php, you'll see this is where the broadcast driver is, and it's set to null. So it gives you instructions on which one you can use. Sometimes you can use Redis, log, null, or whatever, but in this case we're using pusher. Okay, the next thing we need to do is go into the app.php and config, and we want to go all the way down to the not the providers, the application service providers, and we need to uncomment this in order to make sure everything is going to work. And the next thing we need to do is head to our someone posted notification. Okay, and we've already done the should queue, but now we need to bring down to our list of notifiables and add broadcast to that. Okay, so now after that, let's head back to the documentation and make sure that we got everything else in. Okay, so we've already done this part. We're bringing it into the bootstrap.js, and we're already running npm run watch, so that's fine. This is all fine. This is for Ably. Okay, so what we need to do now is head over to the route. Where's our routes channels. Okay, so this is a channel we're going to use. It's the default one, but this is fine for our purposes, and all it's doing is creating a name for the channel, pulling in the user, and then returning the user instance with the ID. We can now close out the someone posted notification. We can close this out, and we can close out the .env. We'll keep this open for now for reference, and then in this bootstrap.js, now that we've newed up an echo, we can now use that in the front end. So let's go to pages. Oh no, we'll go to layouts, app layout, and start working in here. Okay, we're going to go all the way down to our method section, right down here. And let's close this up. And we are going to create a mounted lifecycle hook. We'll put it up here. So mounted. We'll open up some brackets, some curly braces, and we're going to create a this.listen method. We'll create it in a second. And this actually needs to be a function. Okay, so that's good. We need a comma. Okay, so let's work on this listen method. It's going to be listen. I'm going to open it up. We need a comma down here. And then we're going to call echo. This is going to be on a private channel. And then we need to use this we need to bring this into the front end, this app models. Okay, and we can do that by opening up some backticks. And then we'll call it app models user dot. We're going to need a $sign and some curly braces. And in between those curly braces, we're going to have this dot page props dot user ID. And all this is really just this channel that we're calling in. Okay, so the next step is to create a notification. Okay, and we're just getting this from the documentation. If you go back into it and you look for notifications, okay, if you go down a bit, there's a whole section for notifications here. And this is all that we're doing, is we're creating a notification. We're listening for an event, for the notification event, and it's a private event. Okay, so that's all that we're doing. We're getting it from there. Okay, so let's go back to the document, the text editor, and let's continue on. So notification, we're going to pass in a notification, and we're going to have equal curly braces, and then we're going to create a new variable. So we'll call it let new unread notifications equal curly braces. And then we need a data section, because our notifications have a data section. If we go to someone posted, what we're passing in the toArray method is within this info, and it's outside of this, it's data info. Okay, so that's why we're calling it the way we're calling it in here. Okay, so curly braces, and then it'll be info curly braces, and then the first one we're going to do is avatar, and it's going to be the notification coming in from the prop, notification info avatar. This is coming in from the prop that we have from the broadcast channel. Okay, comma, message is notification dot info dot message, comma. Let me give this a little bit of space here. Okay, then we'll do for the next two. So this one is now link notification info link, this one is the last one, which is sent. Okay, notification info sent. Then we also need to pull in the ID of the notification. Okay, so it's ID, and then the key is notification.id. And then what we need to do after all that is we need to push the notifications that we have that are going to be coming from here into the data properties that we're sending up into the page. Okay, so we're going to do that by doing this unread notifications dot push new unread notifications. This should be new unread, and this is this variable that we left up here. Okay, we're just changing the array. So this notifications dot push new unread notifications. Okay, so that should be good. Now that that's compiled, let's go back to our browser. We'll go back to our page. We'll open up the other one, which is, let's see. And it's this one. So we'll refresh both pages. And what I want to do also is open up our inspect tools. Okay, we'll just move it. We need the console, and then we'll just bring it down below so we can see it better. Okay, and then there's actually a console that we can use, a console log that we can use for the pusher. So we'll go back to the text editor real quick, and we'll go to our Bootstrap, and then right in here I'm just going to make a space, and then I'm going to comment this out because it's just a quick note. We'll say for testing, okay, and then we'll say pusher log, or we don't need that, equals function message. Open that up. And then we'll put window console log message. And one more thing we need to do is to make sure that we run the queues. Okay, so we need PHP artisan queue work. Okay, we need to make sure that that's run so that we can get these to show up for us. Let's head back to the browser. Now I've gone ahead and removed the notifications that we have in there already, and I cleared out our logs. So we can go ahead, refresh and refresh. And if we go to pusher and we see the logs that are going to be coming in from here, we'll now see that both users are currently logged in. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to send a message to Vulgar here. Okay, so we'll say, hey, again, and then we'll click post, and we should see a pop-up on this side. Okay, there it is. And now if we go up here and we look at all of the events that took place, then we can see now that we have all our information. Okay, cool. And let's check our notification. So if we click the bell, Gennaro Stark has posted on your timeline. Fantastic. And if we look at pushers logs, we can see that this is the notification that was created. Gennaro Stark has posted on your timeline with all the information that we had in there. Okay. Also, if we check the mail, it's right there. Okay, cool. So now our notifications work with the echo and pusher. So now one thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add the notifications to, not the notifications, the queuables to our other notifications. So if we go up to friend request accepted, and here we'll add implements should queue. Okay, and then we go to friend request accepted, we'll also add that. So implements should queue. Okay, now in order to recognize these changes, anytime you make changes within notifications, you do need to stop the worker and then start it up again. Okay, so I'm going to log in as a different user. We are going to try to save that new user as a friend and make sure that this all works. So I'm going to pause the video and set that up. Okay, so I've gone ahead and logged in as our second user, which is user number 3, user ID 3. But what we do need to do as well is in the friend request accepted notification, we also need to add broadcast to this one, and then we need to do the same thing in the received. So comma broadcast. Okay, then we can go ahead and restart the queue worker, and we will go back to our browsers. We'll refresh both of them. And now that they're both refreshed, we're going to go ahead and send a friend request to this third user ID 3, Ardith92. Okay, so we'll click add friend. That'll process. Okay, so it was sent, and now we should see a new notification up here. And there it is. Now we can also try it in reverse. So if we click the notification, we go to it, we'll be on Gennaro Stark's profile. Now we can accept or ignore. So we're going to click accept. Successfully accepted. Now we got a pop-up up here, and we are now friends. Okay, so now we can go there. And we have now officially finished our notification setup. Okay, I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to make sure to push all the code up to GitHub. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, just drop them down below. If you run into any issues, just drop them down below and I'll try to help as best I can. Okay, I'll also leave the link to Pusher so that you can have access to that as well. Alright, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.